The strategist strike, or the support strike, was one of the first community-driven moments which nearly brought Marvel Rivals to an end before it could reach its 6 months after release. The strike was brought on by a few major factors, including nerfs to highly picked healers like Cloak and Dagger and Lunar Snow, specifically with their ultimates, support players feeling underappreciated for the work they put in, and one of the largest faces in the game, Necros, stating that healers is an easy role. G'day, I'm Tiki, and I make content around Marvel Rivals, and today we'll be diving into what influenced the strategist strike and how it nearly killed Marvel Rivals before it could even reach its 6 months after release. During Season 1, the mid-season patch, Cloak and Dagger, Lunar Snow, and Invisible Woman were the most highly picked healers in Season 0 and Season 1, and were nearly on every single team. And teams without one or two of these agents were never going to win a game because the ultimate abilities that these heroes produced were unmatched, especially during a high-stakes team fight. See, before the patch, the listed healers could build their ultimates incredibly quickly, especially with C&D and Invisible Woman having auto-lock on heals and damage. But building their ults wasn't just the main reason for why they'll pick the most. It was about how much healing they did compared to the other healers like Loki and Adam at the time, and also what their ults could actually do in a high-stake team fight. You see, Lunar Snow, Invisible Woman, and C&D ults were basically, if you're in range of the ult, you're not going to die unless that hero who ults dies, or another ultimate like Iron Man Pulse or a Magneto Ball was put on top, killing the healer. The constant sustained battle and the no one dies ultimate meta strategy started to make the game stale and prolong teamfights to where the point wouldn't move for near minutes. This could be seen as a good thing, as it showed skill between players and teams with team synergy, who could fight better, who could pop their ultimates at a greater time, and who could ultimately win. But you see, if one team had 2 out of the 3 healers mentioned with their ultimates, teamfights could actually last up to 20 seconds to maybe even a minute at points, and that's going back to back to back with the ultimates constantly on. In a competitive game, you would think that it's a good sign, as it means that team fights would last longer and there would be more action, and the chances of winning would be much greater, meaning that there was more emphasis on you to hit your shots and not die in compared to a regular game. However, because no one would die, the team fights would just trade blows, farm ults from the constant healing being produced, and it'll ultimately be in a standstill position. The devs noticed this and struck the support heroes with a massive nerf on how much their ults costed, increasing it drastically. Exploits on the ults, such as stacking the dashes from Cloak and Dagger ults over each other, which would also stack the damage too, and the fact that the teamfights were lasting far too long than what they intended. After having their heroes nerfed in what seemed to be an over-exaggerated move, support mains became upset with their heroes becoming less OP and needing to rely more on a tactical approach rather than just clicking ultimate buttons. Necros is one of the faces of Marvel Rivals and its predecessor, Overwatch. He was first noticed for his exceptional gameplay Genji style, even mastering him on the big screen of the Overwatch League and other notable tournaments. But this wasn't all that Necros was known for. See, he had grown notoriety for being Overwatch's biggest complainer, with community members taking to forums about him as a streamer and his takes. Necros in the past had called out those who developed Moira and Brigitte to be sacked from Blizzard and the heroes to be removed from the game entirely. Now, while this can be taken as a spare in the moment comment, it still shows that his taste for the heroes that would counter Genji in any capacity, and rather swapping to a different hero, he would be stubborn and not change. He carried this mentality over to Marvel Rivals when he picked up heroes such as Spider-Man and Black Panther, who have similar playstyles to Genji. However, on stream one day, Necros came out and said that support players are idiots and morons. Take a listen.
I hate support players, guys. I hate support players because they are literally allergic to good takes. They're just fucking morons. They're idiots and I fucking hate them. I hate them. They never have any good takes. It's exactly what ruined Overwatch. Why is Overwatch shit? Because it's just dominated by supports. It's because Blizzard caved in and listened to fucking Redditors.
This impacted the community on a massive level, with a post on Reddit sharing their experience as a support player, and a DPS saying, "Necros was right, you supporters are all brain dead." Comments on this post would show support for the OP, with another commenter writing, "I was getting dived the entire game, and the other supporter and I asked for help from the team to peel back." One DPS player said, "Our kit should be able to handle the diving, and it's just a skill issue." I said we should switch roles, where I go DPS and he goes support, which we did, and he complained about getting dough and not having any support the entire game. We lost the game, and yes, while I was at fault to a degree, it was worth it. Necro's statement has been deemed the majority fuel to the fire which started the support strike. His toxicity had spread to the community and altered the mentality of DPS and some tank players of the image of the support players, treating support players as a lesser people, and it's their job to heal people rather than actually work together in a team environment. As the support strike was one of the largest movements made by players in Marvel Rivals history for the 6 months that it had been out, big streamers such as Tim the Tatman, Flats, J3, and Kiyomoru had jumped in and all voiced their opinions about what's happening with the support strike and if it was warranted. So take a listen to a few of these takes and let me know what you think down below.
If you don't have support players, you cannot win the game. There's no, you cannot win the game without a support player, okay? Well, now that I'm really thinking about this, actually, the least useful role may be damage, now that I'm really sitting here considering it, because you can get 3 tanks and 3 supports, if y'all know about goats, and you can win. Actually, the more I'm thinking about it, you could actually argue support may be the most important role in Marvel. I think I'm with the support players on this one, bro. Listen, all I'm saying is I got Lord Spider-Man's on my team to go 2-15 and we somehow win the game. And I can tell you we didn't need him. I can tell you that.
Reason people are striking right now, as the other reason is due to tons of players not respecting their strategist mains in their lobbies, and one notable DPS streamer, Necros, coming out and just outright calling people playing the role idiots. Necros has gone on record to essentially say the role takes no skill and is easy as hell to play, calling many support players boosted because all they do is turn off their brain. These statements have led to other players agreeing with him and hating their own support players, with many just blaming support for why they're losing their games. Me personally, I think this is all dumb because every single role is important and can be hard to play. Yes, support can be easy if you're just heal botting, but like I mentioned, it takes skill when needing to avoid or play around certain things. Every single role takes a little bit of skill.
Oh, sorry, right? Necros needing hate for no reason. I wouldn't say it's for no reason. I feel a little bad for the guy for a few reasons, but the big one is, unfortunately, he's going through sudden big streamer syndrome, where he doesn't realize when he gets baited into talking about something like that, just like midstream, like being like upset about something, might be used against him later. But it's the narrative has been shifted and also been like amplified, put under a microscope, and hardcore looked at. Like 95% of the time, you just move on with your day, right? No one ever thinks of anything. Actually, more than 99% of the time, it doesn't end up being anything. But like when you become that bigger streamer, now he has to be a little bit careful because that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Like whether you like it or not, that doesn't happen.
And I think Overwatch League used to do this as well, and I felt really bad for those players. When there's a tournament going on, they mostly spectate. A lot of games mostly spectate. You know, tank players or those DPS players who are about to pop off. But you know what they never spectate? They never spectate or rarely spectate the support players. They rarely do. Support players don't actually get a lot of love. But, and they deserve the love if they are healing their teammates. Listen, I will be upset if I see my Moira or my, I don't know, my Luna Snow in the enemy team's backline doing DPS instead of healing the team.
The devs had a major concern with the strike, as it was the first real community pushback which they have seen, which could nearly bring the game to an absolute end. In a balance post days prior to the strike, NetEase had announced that they have been making the threat levels for support players a lot higher so that they wouldn't be seen as a weak singular target. They also announced a nerf to agents such as Spider-Man and his combo ability to give support players more of a fighting chance and survivability if they were attacked by dive agents. They also announced that they would be changing some of the ranked rewards when players would win a game or lose a game so that it was more fair and that players felt that playing a certain role wouldn't boost the MMR more than others. The input from NetEase and the developers did soften the strike in some areas, as many people felt that the support strike was somewhat of a hit or miss. Some players who climbed the ranks as support absolutely refused to play their respective role, while others still played support because they wanted to. The faction that chose not to play support and were still striking played other roles such as tanks and DPS characters. This had caused others to fill the roles which were not quite comfortable in the supporting role, causing a major loss in games, with some even losing their hard-earned ranks. However, I have seen some effect in the game. Since the strike, I have seen a drop in toxicity around the support players and rather a call out on the DPS players. But let me know what you guys think, and if the toxicity is still there, or if it has completely eviscerated from the supporting role and moved to another role. However, in Season 3.0 and 3.5, the support strike has seemed to settle down with no one at anyone's throats, which is a positive to see, and hopefully it will remain like this for a while. If you do enjoy today's video, please drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.